Yeah. Yeah.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Yeah.
It's all about the Benjamins, baby.
Now, what y'all wanna do? Wanna be ballers, shot callers, brawlers, who be dipping in the bins with the spoilers, on the low from the Jake and the Taurus, trying to get my hands on some grants like Horace. Yeah, living the raw deal, 3-course meal, spaghetti, fettuccine and veal, but still, everything's real in the field, and what you can't have now, leave when you will. But don't knock me for trying to bury 7 zeros over in Rio de Janeiro. Ain't nobody's hero, but I wanna be heard on your hot 9-7 every day. That's my word. Swimming in women with their own condominiums, 5+5s who drive millenniums. It's all about the Benjamins. What? I get a 50-pound bag of oof for the mutts.
KBLA Talk 1580. Happy to welcome into the studio someone I have not had the opportunity to interview before, but I'm sure it won't be the last time. She's a certified domestic violence counselor who comes actually from the music industry, worked in a rap promotions department at a very early age at Interscope in Santa Monica, New York, worked at Warner Brothers and Vibe. And she says she spent many days and nights at Bad Boy in New York City and Daddy's House, which is the name of Diddy's studio in New York.
Yes.
Aishia Offray, am I saying it right?
Aishia Offray-Deal, yes.
Aishia Offray-Deal, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming into the studio, too.
Absolutely.
It's more fun when people come in and talk to me face to face.
Thank you for having me.
Indeed. And so it's crazy, like reading your bio. I know I didn't go through the whole thing.
Yeah.
But you seem to be almost uniquely qualified to talk about this Diddy case.
And it's like it's so weird because I feel like when I talk to people on the outside, I try and make them understand because it's almost like I have bipolar because I'm trying to explain it as someone from the inside, but also understanding how weird it sounds from the perspective, trying to understand from the outside. Because when you grow up in it from 19 years old and you started working in it at in the rap department at Interscope Records, like in the early 90s, in the late 90s, early 2000s, in 2000, in the hip-hop department. Like, that was when you had Aftermath. That's when you had Shady. That's when you had, 50 Cent. Like, that's when you had, that's when Tupac's record was there. That was like the height of hip-hop. That was under Kevin Black. Like, I love Kevin Black. But anyone in the music industry would tell you, like, that was like, it was rough. And I was the only girl in the hip-hop department. And so there was a lot of things that I seen that in my perspective, thinking back, was normal. To me,
well, yeah, and normal. Things that we considered normal back then, we don't consider normal now. Not an excuse, but it was the reality.
It was the reality. So when I hear a lot of these people testify on the stand, it's like, and people say, well, why didn't you just go get another job? It's like, but then how do you put certain things on your resume? I mean, there's certain things that happened in the music industry back then that don't transfer over to your resume when you go try and get a job. How do you say, I coordinated, people or women on boats in Miami for DJs? I mean, how do you say that, for record spins on radio? Like, that doesn't necessarily qualify you for a job outside of the music industry. Like, how do you say I orchestrated Pale? Like, I'm just saying, how do you say that? Like, how does that
you
qualify?
Probably don't.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So there's things
you probably don't. I mean, unless you do. I mean, some folks now, because we have the distance in time, are being more outspoken. But I feel like that's a great point. And generally, you focus on relationships, even though you say hip hop raised you. And I'm hoping that you'll come back and we'll have you in for a messy Monday. But when we saw, that you worked, you say hip hop raised you.
It did. And so it made me, it's like seeing how I was raised and the things that I was exposed to at an early age. And then kind of having to reprogram myself, like understanding that being 19 and having your boyfriend in the industry be in his mid 40s, working at one of the biggest record labels, and just the things I was exposed to, having to just kind of reprogram yourself and understanding like the things that you kind of accepted and was exposed to then is not okay now. And then understanding that I had to just kind of like reprogram myself and understanding what was okay then is not normal now. What's considered abuse then, the aggressiveness, kind of like the fighting and things like that in the hip hop world and putting your hands on each other and fighting, that's not normal and that's not okay. But in that world, it's kind of normalized, the aggressiveness, the putting your hands on each other.
I mean, to be honest, that was true, I think, also in the film and television industry to a much greater extent than it is now. But again, not excuses, just context.
Right.
So how do you go from hip hop raised me, I'm working at Interscope, seeing or participating, because I'm, I don't know the implication.
I had a child, and then I got pregnant living in New York, and I realized that my life in New York and just doing and the fast pace and the go and the parties and things like that, and my lifestyle just wasn't conducive to having a child. And so I had to make a choice. If I wanted to break everything in my apartment there, and be in that type of relationship there, it probably wasn't going to work having a child. I can do it as a single person and be in that toxic, unhealthy relationship, but that probably wasn't going to work having a child. And so I had to make a decision. Either I could be in this toxic relationship here, or I can create a better life for myself, for my child. And so I had to make a decision. And so I had to walk away from that world there, and I had to choose him. And so I literally,
your son.
I chose my son. And I left, and anyone will tell you that I left everything. I left my apartment. I left his dad. I left my clothes. I left everything and what I could fit in a suitcase. And I came back to California to visit my parents for what I thought was going to be like a month, just like away. I just need a break. I'm tired. I need a break. Visit my family. The airline lost all my luggage. They said we can't find it. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is a sign and I'm not going back. And so I called his dad and was like, I'm never coming back home. Keep all my stuff, give it to the next person. I can care less. I'm not. And so I just stayed here and started over. And then, we had nothing. And then I just rebuilt my life here. And then as I grew up, I realized that all the things that I was exposed to there wasn't normal. And I started realizing what real love was as I fell in love again with my daughter's father. And I realized how different that relationship was. And then I just kind of wanted to start to tell the world what real love is supposed to look like. And so I started to kind of compare, and I'm like, no. But nobody told me, Dominique, like no one told me like what you're not supposed to have, believe it or not. Like no one said it, and so I just kind of wanted to just tell everybody. And so I started off on this path. My mom has a domestic violence nonprofit. And so I started working with my mom. And so I started learning a lot from her. And so even though hers was more like kind of helping women flee and advocating for women, I really got into the education side of it and got certified through California legislation and Congress and things like that, the city of Los Angeles. And I really focused on education. And so that was my sector. Like I wanted to go into high schools, middle schools, and get these kids young and teach them about domestic violence and like how easy you can get into it and how to recognize red flags. And so when I started looking at the Diddy thing and the Cassie thing and started understanding and how people would kind of like villainize her and say, well, how come she just didn't get out? I'm like, you guys don't understand how this happens. Like, it happens very easy when you're young, when you're 19 years old and someone says.
So let's rewind a little bit. I mean, there's a whole bunch to unpack here.
Yeah.
You switched from hip hop industry in whatever aspirations.
And still in it in some ways because I still do radio.
Right. But initially you were actually at the labels.
Yeah.
And then you switched to this domestic violence education piece.
Yeah.
And so it's in you were up close because you were not just there. You were there at a young age. You're a very beautiful woman. So, of course, you were invited to the parties.
I spent a lot of nights. My girlfriend and I, Tiki in New York, we talk about it all the time throughout the case, how much fun we had at Daddy's house.
Diddy's recording studio.
Diddy's recording studio in
Doing
New York.
what?
Listening parties, just hanging out, just on a regular given night. Like after we would leave the office, go up to Bad Boy Records, hang out with our friends at Bad Boy.
Right, because freak off or no freak off, Diddy was known for having great parties.
Yeah, or just the office was
The
just
best
live.
parties.
I mean,
Yeah.
go to the office and, drink, hang out. Your friends worked there, whether you were at the Def Jam building, whether you were, hanging out at Rockefeller or Blood.
It's funny you say that because you just reminded me how radio used to be back in the day when, it was just totally different. It's not like that now. When
No, it's not like
record
that
labels used to have a whole bunch of money, which they don't have as much now.
Yes, talk about it, because it was a different world. The budgets were different.
Yeah.
The money was flowing.
Oh my gosh.
Listen, we would jump from Murder Inc. to Bloodline, DMX's label. To,
Yeah, they would be buying people lunches and trips here
Listen,
and there. And
I went to an Outkast party one night, Dominique, and I think it was when Outkast had the Kryptonite record. And they had an album release party, and they were passing out little baggies of marijuana.
which was illegal back then. Everywhere.
It was illegal in New York.
Yeah.
But it's like you said, the budgets were massive.
Yeah.
And so money was just flowing. And I don't think people also realized that we were all young.
Yeah. Well, I remember one time when somebody said, hey, you want to go to London? Program director can't go or whatever. And it was paid for by the label. That kind of stuff was happening all the time because, as you said, the budgets were big. They were trying to get the music played. And that would be the more legit side. As you referenced, people getting connected with women, their drugs of choice.
I was offered up a few times. I was like, listen, you play this record and you get her.
And did you have any say in that?
No, I was sitting there like, what happening? You could take her out. Thank God. I never had to go. But the DJs didn't know that. You spin this record and you get to take her out. You know what I mean? It was just like, but again, we were so young, and it's just,
you were, I was, but not all those label executives were.
They
so
were
young.
older.
Yeah, they were not all. Okay, we're gonna get into sort of the nuts and bolts of what's going on with Diddy and where we are. I'm also interested in hearing from Miles, because Miles is also an artist himself, watching this unfold, a rap artist himself. And it's Diddy, but it's, this is against the backdrop of Tory Lanez and Harvey Weinstein.
Yes.
And it just seems endless at the moment.
Yeah.
And you're welcome to weigh in. 800-920-1580, 800-920-1580. Aishia Offray-Deal is my guest, and we're talking Diddy when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud.
A great place for progressive politics.
KBLA Talk 1580.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again. Holla, holla.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis Smiley, talk about.
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah,
Flip the beat.
On Saturday, June 21st, there are two big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DiPrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
Love you.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up, and I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PUSH to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PUSH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PUSH for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
KBLA Talk 1580 congratulates Pastor and Mrs. William Sachs Epps on their retirement from stewardship at the historic Second Baptist Church. Dr. Epps has faithfully served Second Baptist as its senior pastor for 37 years. What a legacy of love and leadership. Pastor and Mrs. Epps will be honored at a luncheon on Saturday, July 26, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Sheraton Universal Hotel in Universal City, and you're invited to attend. Noted scholar Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is the keynote speaker. For ticket information, please contact epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. That's epsretirement@gmail.com or call 213-399-2103. To Pastor Epps and First Lady Epps, congratulations from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DiPrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh my, we may have to do a podcast one day, Aishia Offray-Deal, where we can say things.
Woman, I'm just like, oh my God, guys, she's so amazing. If you guys could just meet her in person.
You're very kind. Yeah, it's interesting because as women who have been in this business, and you've been on the record label side, you've been in the radio side, and also in the domestic violence space. And I've said this many times on my various shows, as a survivor, I'm going to say victor of hear people say, why didn't she come forward? And these women are all gold diggers and they all have an agenda. I understand it.
Me too.
I still haven't named the person that assaulted me, and y'all would know his name. Why? Because I don't want that to be my main source of identification. That's the girl who was raped by so-and-so, or claims she was raped by so. For what?
They're just going to trash you.
They're going to trash you. You'll never work again, probably, in the industry. And on a lesser degree, the weekly, monthly harassment in many places in the industry, whether it be labels or radio stations or whatever. It's something that kind of comes with the job if you're a woman. And I know for some men too, but I can only speak as a woman.
When Wendy Williams said that she would never name hers, I got it. I was like, I understand.
There's a reason she says that.
Yeah, there's a reason why. Because your name will never be the same.
Right, and then you get to spend the rest of your life defending yourself against people who think you're lying or that you're a gold digger. Mm-hmm. Now, for the most part, when people come forward with these allegations, they don't get paid. Cassie did, though. She got a big check.
Yeah. I mean, and it's like, it's so interesting because the moment it went in waves. The moment that she came out with the lawsuit, they bashed her. Then the video came out and everyone supported her. Then she took the stand and then they bashed her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now it's like it's still bashing, you know.
Yeah, and I want to talk about, why that is and how that happened, because I haven't been following. And I'm not going to lie, because of my own past, victorious experience with abuse. I protect my peace, and sometimes I didn't watch all of Surviving R. Kelly. I don't need all that in my brain. But on the other hand, okay, so we can say, I understand why women don't come forward. I understand why they wait.
Yeah.
I understand why people don't leave jobs, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
We might never work again. We might feel like this is our only opportunity. But on the other hand, I do feel like men or whoever the alleged perpetrators are deserve due process.
Yeah.
I mean, we know also that some women do take advantage.
Yeah.
They do try to come up, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to get that dude.
Yeah. They make it hard, and they make it hard for the ones who are real victims. And it's so hard to say because you don't know, the ones who are telling the truth and the ones who just want to come up, because they're angry or because they're like, oh, she got a lot of money.
Right.
Let me try and get a lot of money.
I mean, even like what recently happened with Jay-Z, an accuser comes forward, then her timeline is all full of holes.
Yeah.
And it's discredited. And this is happening at the same time the internet is on fire about Tory Lanez.
Right.
And so, and Diddy. And so, in a way, it's not surprising that people are trashing Cassie when we see what happened right then with Jay-Z. Right. Even Al Franken, who's obviously not a rap artist, but the fact that he was a senator, was accused by this conservative girl of sexual misconduct. There was no investigation. He was just pushed out of the Senate.
Yeah, it's like the moment someone says something, immediately it's like you have to go. The Megan and Tory thing is still so which is which. And maybe because I know it happened during COVID and there was so much going on during that time. And so now there's so many different stories I can't seem to figure out. But I do understand initially her need to her initial desire to protect everyone in that moment, where it all happened. And she said, I just don't want anyone to get shot or hurt. So initially I just said, no one shot me because I didn't want anyone to die. So I get her initial need to protect. And then I also understand if she said, someone shot me, I got shot. And maybe not knowing who shot her because of the chaos. I just don't know who did it because there's so many conflicting stories at this point. I can't seem to follow who did it. I just know that as a mother of a son, I'm just mad my son put himself in a situation. As a mother of a son, I'm just mad. If I was Tory Lanez's mother or father, I'm just mad that you put yourself in that situation to begin with. I'm mad at you. Why were you even there? Why were you in the situation? What the hell? And now you have to deal with this. I'm mad. I don't know how this is going to end up. I don't know how it's going to end up. I feel bad for all parties involved. I don't know how that's going to end up for them.
Yeah, I mean, we could do a whole other show on that. They're saying there's new evidence and blah, blah, blah. But if that's the case,
people are getting involved.
Yeah. Why wasn't it brought out? Did Tory Lanez have terrible counsel? Like what?
I just know that he was a convicted felon, and no matter what, he shouldn't have been in the car with a gun. And I think if anything else, no matter who shot it, he wasn't supposed to be in the car with a gun.
Mm. Okay, so pivoting a little bit to Diddy, we only have 2 minutes till news, traffic, and sports, and we'll continue on the other side. You laid it out. Cassie files a lawsuit. Everyone says she's a gold digger. We see the tape from the hotel. Everyone's rallying to her side on social media. Then the trial starts. Yeah. Why do you think people reacted to her the way they did?
Because now they're saying that she enjoyed the freak offs and she wanted it. And I don't think that people understand that you can agree to do something with your partner, right? You can say that in the beginning, initially, me and my partner enjoy this process. We love doing something together. I'm doing this. Maybe I never did it before, but I'm doing this now with you because I love you and I want to try something new with you. And then we can enjoy it. And then a year down the line, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't enjoy it. And then I have a right to say I don't want to do it anymore. And I don't have to be forced to do it after that, because after that it's non-consensual. And I don't think people understand that I can consent to something for 2 years straight. And after year 3, if I don't want to consent to a freak off anymore because I don't enjoy it, my partner has to respect it. And after that is not respected, it's considered rape or a forcible act. I don't think people understand that. They keep thinking because she said yes yesterday, you can't say no tomorrow. They don't understand that.
800-920-1580 if you want to weigh in, or you can jump in the comments section on the KBLA YouTube chat. It's always lively there. If you got a question, we'd love to hear from you. Aishia Offray-Deal is here. We're talking Diddy. We're talking what's going on actually in this environment overall, because there's so many moving pieces.
Toxic.
Yeah, it's KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. LAPD Chief Jim McDonald says protests in LA are turning more violent, with some agitators coming from outside the city.
Even more disgusting that many of the people who are doing this come in from other places just to hurt people and to cause havoc.
He warns that organized groups are hijacking the demonstrations and says the violence distracts from the protest's original message. An 80-year-old Florida woman is facing battery charges after allegedly pepper spraying her black neighbor and 2 young children over a dispute involving bubbles. The Ocala family is calling for more charges after Ada Anderson reportedly sprayed the kids ages 3 and 6 in their own yard. And in a stunning French Open final, Black 21-year-old Coco Gauff defeated world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka. She becomes the youngest American since Serena Williams in 2002 to win the event. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Right now, there are young people across the world facing a tough choice: continue their dream of education or drop out to help their family put food on the table. You can help change their future in a single moment. See how far your support can go at unbound.org.
Is this the tackle? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NBA Finals is tied up at 1-1. The Oklahoma City Thunder rebounded from a traumatic loss in Game 1 with a 123-107 win over the Indiana Pacers. Another magnificent game from NBA MVP Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 34 points and 8 assists. SGA has 72 points in the first 2 games in the finals. That's the highest 2-game total in NBA history for a player competing in his first finals. The next 2 games are in Indianapolis. Game 3 is Wednesday night. The Dodgers beat St. Louis Sunday 7-3. They start a 3-game series tonight in San Diego. The Angels lost at home to Seattle 3-2. Angels batters struck out 18 times. The Angels start a 3-game series tonight at home against Oakland. UCLA's baseball team is in the College World Series for the first time since 2013. The Bruins beat Texas San Antonio 7-0 to win the LA Super Regional. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, MRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Every mother deserves a healthy and joyous pregnancy and birth, and every baby deserves to thrive. That's why the Los Angeles County Abundant Birth Project is here. The Abundant Birth Project is a guaranteed income program that provides cash during pregnancy to pregnant individuals at the highest risk of preterm and low birth rate babies. Although program enrollment has closed, our commitment to Black joy and thriving continues. Through tailored services that foster mental well-being and community-based resources, we provide care and support during pregnancy and after the baby is born to help build brighter futures for our families. Join us in celebrating abundant births in LA County. For more information, please visit abundantbirthproject.org. abundantbirthproject.org.
LA's newest soul food restaurant is getting spectacular reviews.
Great place with amazing food. The Sunday champagne brunch is fabulous. I saw the place on IG. We tried it for lunch. We were blown away by the food and the service. The restaurant has an inviting atmosphere and a dynamic vibe.
Over the years, Lionel has catered most major Black events in Los Angeles, including all of our KBLA Talk 1580 gatherings. But now he has his own spot, Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine, and you need to check it out at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles. Oxtails, baked or fried chicken, meatloaf, turkey chops, pork chops, catfish, short ribs, and all the fixins. Collard greens, mac and cheese, yams, red beans, black-eyed peas, and more. And of course, hot water cornbread, satisfying drinks, and delicious desserts. Lionel's is a great place for brunch, lunch, or dinner. If it's good enough for us, it's good enough for you, because we've got your Black. So, head on over to Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles and tell Lionel you heard about it on KBLA Talk 1580.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Aishia Offray-Deal is my guest. She's a certified domestic violence counselor who started out in the music industry working in rap promotions, worked at Interscope, Warner Brothers, Vibe magazine, and spent many days at Bad Boy in New York City. Did you ever go to one of the famous Diddy parties?
You know, it's funny. I've never been to the Hamptons parties.
No.
I don't know. Maybe because they just always felt far. I mean, it is about an hour and a half from the city. So, I mean, it just always felt far.
But I mean, what you've described was more like just like music record listening parties, office parties. You never went to like
hanging out at the office, just any day, random day after work, leaving the office, hanging out, drinking, spending Friday nights at Daddy's house, just a regular, casual. I mean, even just going to Justin's often. I don't know if you know, Justin's was his restaurant.
Yeah.
Going to private parties at Justin's, just on just any random night. I mean, that was all my 20s.
Right. But you didn't see the wilder side of the parties. You didn't see.
I didn't see them. And you know, it's so funny. A lot of my closest friends who are close friends with him didn't see them. So we always wondered, who saw them? Well, I do know one person who saw them.
I mean, of course,
who participated.
A
friend of mine participated.
Okay. Because, of course, the joke is, you know, every celebrity says they went to the Diddy party but left before it got freaky. So most people think that people are lying when they say they weren't there.
I have a friend that's a male exotic dancer who participated in them, but he is a male exotic dancer and he was paid. But we thought he was lying. He said this many years ago, and we all brushed it off. We all were like, okay, yeah, whatever. And so now when we go back, we're like, you were telling the truth. We felt terrible, but he was telling the truth.
I mean, to be fair, and we were talking about this during News, Traffic, and Sports, it is not against the law to be a freak. It's not against the law to have baby oil, to do whatever you consensually do.
It's not against the law. I don't know why people think that it's so crazy to go to sex parties, to have threesomes, to, you know, voyeurism, to want to watch your significant other be with other people. Like, none of that is, I mean, it may not be your thing, but it's not against the law. It becomes against the law when your partner says, no, I don't want to do it anymore. And then you force them, whether you threaten them, bodily harm, or put your hands on them. And then it becomes illegal. But as far as, you wanting to just like be freaky or, nasty, some of the things that he does is just absolutely disgusting. But is it illegal? No. I mean, he just crossed the line when she didn't want to do it anymore. And, if hands were placed on her, then that becomes illegal. But that's just with anything. You can say yes today and no tomorrow. And then that's when it becomes illegal.
Yeah. Well, so I know you're not a lawyer. You're a DV counselor, a radio person, music industry veteran. But so far, from what I have been following, and I must admit, I haven't been following as closely as I should or could.
It's a lot to follow.
Yeah, it's a lot. There's a lot going on. But the charges are not domestic violence. The charges are not being a freak, because that's not against the law.
Yeah.
The charges are sex trafficking. Okay, 2 counts of sex trafficking, 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, and 1 count of racketeering conspiracy. If he's convicted, he could do life.
Right. So a lot of what we're hearing now are like state charges. So if these have been brought up, what we're hearing now, a lot of what we're hearing now, had they been brought up or been filed, or has she pressed charges, or anyone had pressed charges when these things occurred, then he would be doing jail time, because these are all state charges. But because they didn't and no one did, the statute of limitations ran out.
And this is a federal case.
And so it's a federal case.
Right.
So, but the way I look at it is as if the prosecution is like building a character case right now. So right now they're showing his persuasion and how, look, guys, this is his character. This is why people are afraid of him. This is why we're showing you how when we get to the charges of the RICO and the racketeering or the sex trafficking, why he was able to get people to move when he said move, why he was able to sex traffic. I'm assuming, this is just me assuming, why he was able to get people to, transport things or get people to, jump countries. And the organization was able to be set up because back here early in week 3 and 4, when we showed you his character, people were afraid to say no. And so when we jump to, because a lot of times earlier on in these cases, like they show you the witnesses that you're not going to remember earlier on. So believe it or not, people think that Cassie's a star witness. She's not a star witness. You save your star witnesses for the end because you want the jury to remember them, in these kind of cases. So yeah, you see the domestic violence stuff early because these are things that you don't want the jury to remember. They're not going to remember this.
Okay, so when people say that the federal prosecutors are not making their case, that the case that they've made so far is a domestic violence case, and some of us who are wondering how you can have a conspiracy if you're the only one charged, you believe that's because we haven't gotten to the star witnesses
Yeah,
yet.
because if this is an 8 or 9 week case and we're like now at like week 3, like these are all domestic violence charges and we haven't gotten to the real charges. The real witnesses are the ones that they want the jury to remember. So they're going to save those for when it's almost close time to deliberate. The jury's not going to remember. I mean, they're going to remember these people, but these are earlier on. The heavy hitters are going to come later on in the trial. So Cassie is not the star witness. The prosecution is not going to save their star witness for week 1. They're just not going to do it. So, these are all domestic violence stuff. This is state stuff, and we'll get to the federal stuff later. But yeah, a lot of stuff is domestic violence right now.
Reggie Romaine in the chat says, I feel for these victims who are raped, but the resolution would be to turn these weirdos in so it would prevent the next person from being victimized. And Kwamel says,
I agree.
Romaine, these perps have some power to them that those in the mix don't see coming. I think I agree too, except for that for some victims, many victims, you look, okay, I'll speak personally. For me personally, I look and I see a lot of victims not being held to account.
They're not, and they're not going to be.
And the person reporting the crime getting attacked and having their life now impacted by people's opinions, judgments, even getting threatened.
Yeah.
Whether you believe Megan Thee Stallion or not, she's super rich, famous, powerful, and beautiful, and she's still getting dragged up and down. So imagine if you're not rich, beautiful, powerful, and you're just going to come out against somebody, powerful or otherwise.
Can we discuss the fact that Cassie had to sign over an NDA that basically says that, like, here, take this money, be quiet. Not only can you not speak about this after this, your husband can't speak about it, your mother, your father, your children. 10 years after you're dead, it can't be spoke about. You can't write a book about this. So basically, Cassie, take the money, be quiet, and this never happened to you.
But yet she's testifying at the federal trial.
That's the only place she can talk about it. But other than that, take this money, go away, and this never happened to you. So basically, she was still silenced. People can say, oh, yeah, but you're rich. But you're silenced, and pretty much you're told this never happened to you. So in some ways, I still see it as he's still kind of won.
Really?
I see it like that because she can never have an advocacy group. She can never speak to other survivors. She can never speak life into another woman. She can never say that this happened to me, but look where I am now. You know what I mean? I made it over. I survived. I'm still here. You know what I mean? I have a family now. You can do this too. You know, she can never say that to another woman because paperwork says that you have to be quiet. And even after you're gone and dead, you can't even speak. Your family can't speak about this.
Yeah. Morris Phillips says if the star witness is a European American, Diddy will be sentenced to prison and Trump will get paid to get him out. I mean, the president has already indicated that he might pardon Diddy. And, you know, that's another show for another day. But the chatter on social media and in the streets is that the prosecution is not proving their case and that Diddy may well walk.
Can I tell you what I saw?
Mm-hmm.
What I saw at dinner in March was an email from my eyes to someone showed me the phone, and I just saw an email with the administration saying we want to review the case and to send us over the files, and we're considering pardoning him. That was what I saw. Someone gave me the phone and told me to look to see for myself, and I saw the email.
So you believe they're already it's been under
I saw that in
consideration.
March.
Yes, and this is already June.
I saw that the weekend of March 17th.
So if that's the case and the president has really followed up on pardoning folks in hip-hop, I think, to keep the people that went to him, that voted for him, that started to support him because of Kodak Black, because of Lil Wayne.
I don't think he cares about Diddy. I just think that he hates the city of New York even more.
Interesting.
That's what I think. I don't think that he cares about Diddy. I just think that there's any chance that he gets to stick it to California, New York, he's going to stick it to them.
Yeah, I also think he's building a case that he is the better option for justice-impacted people, formerly incarcerated people, and rappers.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's building that case, even though the vast majority of all of those folks that are convicted of something will not be pardoned by the president, but it certainly is creating that impression. Aishia Offray-Deal is my guest. We're talking Diddy. You're welcome in 800-920-1580. I'm Dominique DiPrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilman Curran Price, inviting you to join us on Saturday, June the 14th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. as we cut the ribbon on the brand new Enel Woods Park at 8703 South McKinley Avenue. Thanks to a generous donation from Heal the Bay, the park features smart irrigation, stormwater capture systems, and space for local wildlife to thrive. And we've built a walking trail, picnic areas, native landscaping, and quiet spaces for families to gather, relax, and connect. This is part of a much larger effort to expand green spaces across South LA with 3 new parks in the works, a first-of-its-kind community center coming soon, and plans to connect it all through the South LA Greenway. So mark your calendar for Saturday, June 14th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and come celebrate a greener, stronger South LA at NL Woods Park. I'm also pleased to sponsor the Climate Justice plus Black Health Symposium, moderated by Tavis Smiley, live on C-SPAN, Wednesday, June the 18th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Just a reminder to sign up right away at the KBLA1580.com website to join me, Mayor Karen Bass, Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager Dove, Tennessee State Representative Justin Pearson, Dr. Cornel West, former Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., the Sierra Club's Ben Jealous, and other black influencers in the climate and health fields as we continue to amplify the connection between climate and poor health outcomes for our people. Thank you for listening. I'm Councilman Curran Price.
Are you ready to play? Then jump into the LA 84 Foundation's Free Playdate Block Party, a community celebration for all ages, including live music, dancing, LA's pro sports teams, great local food trucks, plus special giveaways for you to take home. Enjoy an exciting, fun-filled day for the entire family. Join us Saturday, June 28th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at 2141 West Adams Boulevard. To register, go to la84.org. We'll see you Saturday, June 28th at LA 84 Foundation's Free Playdate Block Party. Every mother deserves a healthy and joyous pregnancy and birth, and every baby deserves to thrive. That's why the Los Angeles County Abundant Birth Project is here. The Abundant Birth Project is a guaranteed income program that provides cash during pregnancy to pregnant individuals at the highest risk of preterm and low birth rate babies. Although program enrollment has closed, our commitment to Black joy and thriving continues. Through tailored services that foster mental well-being and community-based resources, we provide care and support during pregnancy and after the baby is born to help build brighter futures for our families. Join us in celebrating abundant births in LA County. For more information, please visit abundantbirthproject.org. abundantbirthproject.org.
Lena Bloom for the Bail Project.
Imagine you're stuck in a jail cell and you can't afford bail and someone offers you a way out. Just plead guilty and you can go home and kiss your kids goodnight. What do you do? What thousands have. You plead guilty whether you are or not. Cash bail makes poverty a crime. That's why the Bail Project helps those who can't afford it while fighting to end cash bail. Because freedom should be free.
Brought to you by the Ad Council.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
I want to remind you our KBLA 1580 4th anniversary events are really just 10 days away. Seating at all of them is tight, but you could still get in. Just register at KBLA1580.com. Please, if you can, just stop what you're doing right now and do it. That way you won't get left out. We want to celebrate our 4th anniversary with you. All of the events are free. You can come to 4 of them or just one. If you just choose one, choose mine. That's going to be the 21st of June, Saturday. We're going to have the State of Black Women in L.A. If you're coming to the barbecue on Juneteenth, we were asking everyone to bring a food gift card of any amount. Yes, for the victims of the Altadena fire. It could be a grocery store, chain, or a restaurant. And we're very grateful for whatever you can do to help those families still displaced by the wildfires. Go to our website, KBLA1580.com, right now. Sign up for whatever events you plan to attend. And, let's do it. We don't want you to be left out, so please register. Aishia Offray-Deal is with me. She's worked in the industry.
Can I just say I'm from Altadena?
Yes.
That's all. I'm from Altadena.
Altadena roots.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So thank you for that.
She says raised by hip hop, but currently a certified domestic violence counselor. And what's happening, we've kind of been talking about the Diddy trial case. You said you saw, which is wild, a letter indicating that the Trump administration is already vetting him for a pardon. Of course, he would need to be convicted first. And there's a chance he will be acquitted.
Yeah.
I've talked to a lot of men, black men in particular, who feel like Diddy is being railroaded or he's not getting a fair deal. I've heard the same of Tory Lanez, Bill Cosby. It seems like rich black men, Chris Brown, are very frequently targets. You're making a face. I
just think that the idolizing is weird, when it comes to just like the things that powerful black men do and how black men tend to stand by them when they violate women. And I know that sometimes black men feel like they're not heard and they don't get a fair shake in society, and that, they're not respected in a lot of ways. And so they feel like it's their job to stand up for each other. But I just urge them to sometimes consider the fact that a lot of them have daughters and sisters and mothers. And, just consider the fact that it's your daughter that comes home and tell you that their track coach violated them, or their basketball coach violated them, or their uncle, God forbid, grandfather or whatever. Would you still stand by that person and stand on their side and look at your daughter or your sister or your mother if she said that her boss touched her in the wrong way, and stand on his side and look at your sibling, your relative, and say that they're the ones that are in the wrong? I'm just saying, just consider that. That's someone's child.
I agree with that. I also think, though, that when you talk about, being a millionaire or billionaire as a black man in this country, they are, a lot of times, it does seem like they are targeted. We have a president in the White House who's got 39 felonies, who is an adjudicated sex assaulter, and he gets to be president. You know what I mean? Chris Brown does something terrible, and from my understanding, there's a lot more to that story than meets the eye as a teenager, and we still don't forgive him. So it feels like there's a double standard.
Yeah, I think that's probably another conversation too for another day. There's just a lot of this when it comes to, in particular in our community, black men and black women. There's just a lot of this. There's a lot of unforgiveness. There's a lot of, well, you did this to us and you did this to us. And I think it plays out in these type of cases where it's like, they have to pick sides.
Right.
And I just don't think that these kinds of cases are the cases where we should pick sides. It's just a case of just right and wrong. It's just right and wrong. You just don't violate, you don't take from another woman what's not yours to take. If she loves you, she gives it to you. When she doesn't want to give it to you anymore, you can't take it. And that's that.
Yeah. What has been the most startling, or the most impactful, I guess I should say, thing that you've seen or heard in the trial so far? We've heard from assistants, male escorts, rappers, Cassie, all kinds of folks.
I think what's been most startling is the amount of employees that were scared to speak up. Not the women and the women who he was romantically involved with. That's one thing, but the amount of employees that he verbally abused, physically abused, that continued to go back, I think that was more startling to me, because that just goes to show the amount of mind control that this man had. And it also goes to show that not only just with romantic relationships, it just goes to show that with money and wealth, that people are willing to just be in the proximity of it, and what they're willing to tolerate and swallow, and what they're willing to they're willing to sacrifice themselves, their dignity, their well-being, their mental health, just to be in proximity of wealth. Do you know what I mean? Like just
people think it's their shot. I don't,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we barely scratched the surface of this case, but because there's so much to cover. But you see that, I mean, that's Harvey Weinstein, right? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And many of those people employees are now big movie stars.
Yeah. They just want to almost like, touch the hem of Diddy's garment. It's very weird. And they just kept going back even after he fired them. Don Richards still reached out and said, I still want to work with you. Capricorn Clark still wanted to go back after he tried to blackball her from everything. She still went back.
I mean, isn't she the one who said he kidnapped her?
Yeah, at gunpoint.
To me, that stretches credibility. Someone kidnap. I mean, I can see verbal abuse, but someone actually kidnaps you and you still going back to work for them
and still wants to go back to work with them.
That was hard for me to believe.
Yeah, I believe it though, because
you do?
Yeah, I do believe it, because they feel like it's the mind control, but I think that's why the people are just like, oh, well, I don't believe you, but I do believe it, because Dominique, these people look at this man like he is the closest thing that they're going to get to success, to wealth, like to their lifestyle. They just, and most of them just want to be at a party.
Right. And I don't even think it's just kissing the hem. I think they think they're going to get rich. They're going to have a career.
They want to be in his circle. They want to be around his friends. They want to be at his house. They want to be on his jet. They want to go to Turks and Caicos. And it's all tangible, material possessions. And that's what's sad about it all.
Yeah.
Is it's all tangible.
Well, we got to leave it there. Hopefully you'll be back for Messy Monday, and we'll keep the conversations going.
Monday.
Yeah. Aishia Offray-Deal, tell folks how to find you.
You can find me. I am at Aishia Deal on Instagram and Threads.
Okay. And hopefully we'll find you around here. Tavis Smiley is up next. He's got an incredible Monday morning jam-packed show for you, so you want to keep it locked here for that. Don't forget to go on the website, register for our anniversary parties, and I will see you there. And then, of course, you can find me on socials. I'm at diprimaradio, DIPRIMA, and then radio everywhere, Instagram. Follow my YouTube. I'm trying to build it up a little bit. Talk back to me, and I'll talk back to you. Like my mama, the late, great Diane DiPrima, used to say, history is now, and we're making it together. Until tomorrow, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News.
Come in from other places just to hurt people and to cause havoc.
He warns that organized groups are hijacking the demonstrations and says the violence distracts from the protests.